From Garrison community in Spanish Town, living in a one-bedroom boardhouse shack, to university graduate and business owner, the guest on today's program shows that everything is possible to those who believe and are willing to persevere and work hard to achieve their goals. Today we will hear the story of Kadian Gentles, CEO of La Wilson Island Rooms. This is Sandy Heron and you're tuned into City Beat.
I grew up in what you would call a poor family in a Garrison area in Spanish Town. 3 sisters, my parents, and we all lived in a one-bedroom board house shack, and we would just have to make it work. The partition was a curtain, and so we bathed outside, we washed dishes outside and stuff like that, but we always wanted to go to school. So even when our parents didn't have any money, what we would do is walk to school, because we lived fairly close to primary school, that is. So we would walk to school and we would take some of the dinner that we had from the night before. So we take that overnight dinner, that's for lunch. Of course, my big sister and I were going to the same primary school, so I would allow her to take the food, go to her class, hide it with the book and eat, because of course at that age, full of pride and stuff, and would walk with our igloo full of ice. So we walk to school and we walk back home. My mom really, they didn't have any, they didn't finish high school. They stopped like prep school, not prep school, all age school. So they didn't have much education, but they always had something doing for us to go through. My mom used to sell sheets. She used to make some ugly sheet set for persons who have children who can't afford the upscale ones, and for the persons who live in the red dirt and stuff. Yes, that's the type of sheet set that my mom would make, and they used to call her Stringy at one of the popular stores, because she used to buy the very, very small pieces of fabric in bundles, and she put those together and make patchwork sheet sets. And so that's how I saw her making a living, selling sheet. My father would help her as well. And they would also make bib, what they call bib. It's actually, the apron that the Eagles wear in the market to put their money and stuff in. Right, so that's what they used to sell. And there were times when we even finishing primary school, you passed my common entrance, went to high school, still had struggles. So it was a bit further now, so it wasn't walking distance. I had to sometimes get just the bus fare to go and ask my teachers to help me with lunch and money to come back home. There were times when I would even have to go to the market on a Saturday to sell some of those sheet and bib, so that I could get lunch money for the rest of the week. So I grew up having that, going downtown, going to Spanish Town Market to sell, so that I can ensure that I go to school. Even when still in high school, I decided that I need to ensure that I get my CXC subjects, because guess what, it's very hard for my parents. I saw them struggling to pay those fees, and so I tried. I took 5 and I took 6 and I got 5 subjects, and I said okay. My mom suggested that I went to Teachers College. By then she always trying and always doing different things. She went overseas to work, and she assisted me to go to Teachers College, and I went through, and so that was really, really wonderful that I actually completed college without having to pay any form of fees, without having to take any loan or anything like that, even though it was still a struggle, because there were times when I just started Teachers College, I would still have to go to the market and sell sheet, of course hide some of them. There were times when I had to slept on the market floor just to catch a Christmas sale, because we would go to as far as Magati in St. Elizabeth just to catch a Christmas sale, and would have to cook in the market and everything like that. Completed Teachers College and started working at a government organization, and decided that when I left Teachers College at that time, Michael Teachers College, it was diploma. They didn't have degree programs as yet. And so I decided that I need to upgrade, because they said, in order to be eligible to teach, you need to have your degree. So I started UTech, and I decided that, I said, God, you know what? I'm not going to take any loans for this. I'm not going to take any student loan, to be exact, because I saw you bring me through Michael so well. And I know that you're able to take me further. And so when I started, I applied 2009. I deferred because I realized, I didn't plan well, so I didn't have the fees. And my mom died in 2010. I decided that, hey, I'm not gonna give up. And it worked out that actually went through, and I did not take student loan. I had such a relationship with a credit union that it was I don't even know how to describe that sort of relationship, because I remember I pray each time I would go, and I say, I'm gonna go, and Lord, I'm gonna ask you to put that person in place that you have before the foundation of the world to help me to accomplish my goals and to fulfill my dreams. And I remember meeting this young man, this representative, and he was my advocate, my representative for the entire time. Every time that I go there, that's the young man I would speak with. And sometimes he would look at me and say, no, that can't be done, I've never seen that done. And I said, go to your manager and ask for approval, and it would be approved. And it's like I sometimes I couldn't find food, because working, going to school, and having to transportation costs, all of that, it was crazy. At one point I started living with my aunt, and I said, since I'm sharing rent, it wouldn't be so bad. And it was worse. I couldn't even find food to eat. And there were times when I would be like, I need to go to school today, and I have no money. And I would go to the credit union, and I would tell them that I need some money. So they would ask me, how much is it that you need? Okay, 10,000 can do. And they say, how is that going to work? And they would try find something, some way, somehow, to get me that $10,000 or whatever it may be. Loan within shares, whatever, they find some form, and they would always sign off on those things. And the young man would always come back to me and say, Miss Gentles, you're really God bless. And I say, yeah, I told you that I'm gonna get through. And I said, Lord, I wanted to use that to witness to him as well, to let him know that you are real.
And if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Kadian Gentles, CEO of La Wilson Island Rooms. And she's sharing her story of how her life changed from living in a one-bedroom shack in Spanish Town to being a business owner.
Thank God, where I worked, they had a flexi shift just in time when all the pressures of the full-time school, because it was full-time school, full-time work, asked me. I didn't even know it was full-time school, but what a lecturer told me, how is it that you're going to do this? This is full-time. And I said, miss, but I have to work because I have nobody to support me. So I was like, how is it that I'm going to do this? And right there and then, the government approved for a flexi work hour. That was the first time they've ever done anything like that within a government organization, in terms of having the office hours extended to 7 p.m. Also having the work days extended to a Saturday, and that facilitated me having me writing memos to see, okay, let me work out a schedule. I will work up to such time and work back in my lunch time, and I will work on a Saturday and take no day off, etc. And I would write to HR, and they always approve it. It would always be approved, and that worked out just in time for me to complete a set of course that I had to go through within that time frame. And after a while, it just relinquished. After a while, they said, we're not opening until that time anymore. We're not opening on Saturdays anymore. And I was like, okay, well, thank God. There was even a moment where I was placed in a particular department which allowed me more time to do schoolwork. It allowed me more time to focus on assignments. I would get favor from even my manager, who didn't necessarily like me. but I don't know, she just had to sign off, she just had to write off on stuff. And I completed that degree within 2 years because, coming from a teacher's college, being advanced, it was, less courses. I got advanced placements. Even going to UTech, it was just God showing up in my midst. Like, at the point of completing, I was told that I need to do what they call work experience, and I was like, really? I have so much experience, plus I already have a diploma. And they said, yeah, you need to do work experience. And that in itself was a testimony, because where my teacher wanted to send me, when I went there, they said that they were already closed off and they wouldn't allow me to get acceptance. And I packed up the documents and I said, okay, thank you so much. I don't know what I'm going to do now, because, it's my last year and everything. And lady said, oh, sorry about that. And she sent me on my merry way and called me back on my phone to bring back the documents. And when I brought the documents back to her, she said to me, I'm not sure. I'm just going to try to contact the head office and see if it is that you can be, you can get acceptance in the program for you to do work experience here. I'm going to try. I'm not sure. But within I think it was 24 hours, within a day, I got a call that I got accepted to work at that place. And I needed a food handler's permit. I didn't have one. And the same day I went and I said, you know what, Lord, I'm going to use the authority that you have given me to get this food handler's permit today, because they said I need to come in with it tomorrow, or at least with a letter to say that I have done the test, because they don't no longer accept that you just pay for it. And I said, okay, I need to do the test today then. And I went to the place and they said, no, you can't do the test today. I said, who can I speak with? They said, no, the person is not here. So I went to another section and I said, who can I speak with? And they said, they sent me somewhere else, and I went there, and then they sent me somewhere else. And by the time I should go back there, I met just in time to ask the security officer for the name of the person, and the person was walking out and said, you're looking for me? I said, yes, sir, I'm looking for you. I said, I need to do my exam today, and he just signed off on that. And that in and of itself was favor. While I was working, one of my aunts started showing me some things that she's doing. She said, look at my room. My room is filled with cloths, fabrics. And this is what I'm doing. It was sheet set. And I said, my mom used to do this, but my aunt was doing it at a higher scale, high end, pretty nice things. And I said, my mom used to do this. And she said, yes, you can do it. I make a little extra money. And I started. And the first time I started, and I did the first one I did, and I took it as a sample to work, and I showed it to my co-workers. That same year, I made almost $100,000 in profit. And I was like, whoa. I started doing it like as a hobby, because work wouldn't allow me to do it otherwise.
And that hobby led her to start her own company. And within months, an opportunity presented itself, and she became a supplier of sheets to the Jamaica Defense Force. As Kadian reflected on her journey, she could not help but give thanks for the favor and limitless goodness of God.
The Lord just kept opening doors. I could go on and on and on about how it is that He has proven Himself to me within that time period. He has been opening doors. He has been making ways. He has been putting people in place to really propel me to that next level. And so, as where I am now, trusting God that because He has taken me through all of that, He will continue to take me through. And so the process, I'm still on the journey, and it is still a process, but God has been just awesome. And of course I could sit and say, my mom died and my father cannot afford to assist and all the above, but just with persistence and with prayer, I see where God has been doing marvelous things. I've been getting very good reviews. The business is registered, going places. Things are just happening. And I'm still a supplier to the Jamaica Defense Force. God is good. It's just a journey and a process.
Special thanks to Kyra Simpson for connecting us here on City Beat to today's guest. And thanks also to Katie and Gentles for sharing her story. This is Sandy Heron, and you have been tuned into City Beat. See you next week.